In previous videos, I've spoken about the importance of not just examining what you see in front of you, but how important it is to also look at the context to understand why what's happening is happening. In this video, I want to give you an example from a movie I watched recently on Netflix. The movie was really it was a series. I believe it was around 11 episodes. I'm not going to give away the whole story, but it goes like this. You had a family that grew up in a mansion, and the mother committed suicide one day. The family was out of there, and their lives were shattered after that. Kind of a tragic story. One son became a drug addict. The other side, he didn't want any children anymore. One daughter became a sodomite and quite rough in life, and another one became a funeral. How does you call such an individual? Someone that arranges funerals. She has her own morgue, but she became a control freak. Now, in one of those episodes, they got in contact with the father again because, I forgot, one of the other daughters also committed suicide after her husband passed away in a tragic accident. So, it's a tragic series. But in one of those episodes, there was this scene where the father with his eldest son went back to the mansion. Because one of the daughters went back to the mansion and committed suicide, and the son that was a drug addict also was on his way to the mansion. So the father and the son decided, we're going to the mansion also to stop this. When they arrived at the mansion, the son saw this demonic figure, this long demonic figure looking at him. And he was thinking, oh crap, what do I have to do? He felt frightened. So he kept on walking. When he entered the room, that demonic figure came after him and stood right in front of him. And the demonic figure bent over his head to look at him in the eye. And the father who stood beside him told him, look at me. Look at me. So the son kept looking at the father. His focus on the father. And while his focus remained on the father, the demonic entity gave up and walked away. I want to talk about that scene. I know the series has been made by pagans, so they have their pagan symbology in it. I know that the makers probably don't have intent a Christian message. However, that scene is how faith works. Let me explain. When that son entered that building, there was an entity there. That building was where he grew up, where some trauma happened that haunted him for his whole adult life till then. So, that demonic entity was really attached to him because of the trauma. You follow me now? So, when he came back at that spot, the entity was there. The entity had a grip on him because when he saw the entity, he walked away. He didn't want to face it. How many of us are like that? We encounter weird circumstances in our lives that are symptoms that some demonic cycle is in operation, but instead of facing the fact that there's a demonic cycle in operation, we tend to, we tend to go AWOL, as you call it. We tend to just disappear. We don't want to deal with it. Leave us alone. That's our attitude. The son did this. But did that work? No, it only brought him relief. Because later, that entity that he saw at a distance was right in front of him. And that happens in his life also. When you don't face demonic cycles, that same cycle that you don't want to face, that you are running away from, it will haunt you till you can't avoid it anymore. So, when the entity appeared in front of him, The father immediately told him, look at me. So the father knew the moment you focus on the demonic entity, you're empowering it. You're empowering him. And by empowering him, he gets a further hold on you. And then the entity will be able to ruin you or kill you. So by him remaining focused on the Father, that was his deliverance. And that's how it is for us believers. Christ wants us to be Christ-centered. He wants our thinking to be centered on him. When our thinking is centered on him, all the other garbage of the world is purged out of us. And when that happens, when we lose toxic thinking patterns, when we lose relief seeking and all of that, then we will have victory in daily life, and then we will triumph over evil and violence in the world. Only then. What do they teach you in paganism? In paganism, they teach you that the universe, as they call heaven and earth, has cycles. You are part of those cycles, so you must honor the cycles, get along with the cycles, because once you honor the cycles, you can make use of the cycles. So eventually, it's not really much about you, it's about the cycles. So it's idolatry. And that's what pagans do, and it works for them. But by them being focused on the cycles, it's the same as staring the demons in the eyes. Basically, the world will be perceived as something powerful, but God tells you not to do it. God tells you to be focused on him. So, believer, is there any demonic entity or demonic force that's stalking you? Is there something you still need to face somewhere? I'm telling you the truth. If you keep on avoiding it, it will continue. And it will get worse and worse. It will not get better, it will get worse. But if you do the will of the Heavenly Father, you are guaranteed to be victorious. So, what will it be, believer? Be at peace.